Let's bring in our CoinDesk Weekend Review panel. We've got Editor-at-Large Christy Harkin in Toronto and crypto markets analyst Glenn Williams Jr. Christy and Glenn, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you as well.
All right, let's take a look at the markets first, Glenn. So the announcement that Kraken has agreed to immediately end its crypto staking as a service platform for U.S. customers and pay a $30 million fine to settle SEC charges seems to be happening just as the markets take a pullback. Is there any coincidence? I mean, what's going on with Bitcoin right now?
Sure. I think that what happened recently with Kraken, or today with Kraken, as well as kind of like the overall tone or tenor that Chairman Gensler has added like additional level of risk into markets. You know, for the bulk of 2023 and much of 2022, crypto traded on a largely macro narrative, and specifically inflation and what the Federal Reserve is going to do. But with this new development, there's an additional element of risk that I don't think was fully priced into the market. With macro data, you know, I know when CPI data is going to come out. I know when jobless claims are going to come out. I know when GDP is going to come out, and we have a pretty good indication of where we want those figures to go as it relates to markets. What we don't know is if we're going to wake up and see a headline that the SEC is taking action against crypto exchanges and essentially saying that everyone else should kind of be careful or watch out. And so because of that and that additional element of risk, I think that's why you're seeing prices for both Bitcoin and Ether come back a bit after what's been a pretty promising 2023 thus far.
All right. Glenn, you also wrote an interesting article on the Golden Cross, and it's one of the hotter debates in cryptocurrencies at the moment, how traders should feel about Bitcoin and ETH possibly achieving this Golden Cross, which is a popular bullish indicator in technical analysis. And you know, you tracked each time Bitcoin hit a Golden Cross, and the results were pretty mediocre. Explain what's going on here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's kind of mixed. I mean, I wanted to take a look at past incidents because it's one thing that, you know, you first learn about in traditional finance and it's kind of set out there as a bullish indicator. But when you test for it, for Bitcoin, it did provide a bit of an edge. I believe after 30 days, the average return was 9.6% following the Golden Cross, which is when the 50-day moving average crosses the 200-day moving average. The issue is that there have been so few occurrences that I kind of wrestle back and forth with whether or not the lack of occurrences makes it something that is very significant, or the lack of occurrences means that it doesn't give us a lot of data to work with. And I think the truth is kind of somewhere in the middle. It's worth watching, but you should also not look at it in a vacuum.
All right. You're also taking a look at volumes in Bitcoin. Bitcoin transfers to and from crypto exchanges have fallen, signaling that markets remain cautiously optimistic about the market. Explain some of the data that you're seeing out there.
Sure. So, and I think you kind of led with it at the top of the show. When you see Bitcoin coming off of exchanges, an interpretation that I like to take, or that a lot of people take, is that it is a bullish or at least a supportive action, because if Bitcoin is being pulled off of exchanges, it's generally being moved into cold storage. And the opposite, when Bitcoin is being moved onto exchanges, it's being done because there are preparations to sell it. And since we had been up 40% or so for 2023, one of the things that I wanted to take a look at is whether or not investors were looking to take profits. And one signal that I was trying to keep an eye on is whether or not those Bitcoin were being moved onto exchanges. And so you also indicated that there is a bit of a difference between what's happening between smaller investors and what's called whales, being individual unique wallets that have over 1,000 Bitcoin. So we have been seeing those wallets sending Bitcoin to exchanges, but it's too early to tell whether or not that's because they want to unload the coins that they already have, or if they're just executing prudent risk management.
Yeah, we're seeing the whales put coins on exchanges versus smaller retail take them off. So yeah, interesting flows we're seeing.